What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, and this is part mini of my reviewing and ranking Yes's live albums. I'm going in order that they were released. Only familiar with the first three. Then I did their studio albums. I was like, wow, there's a whole bunch of live albums I've never heard. So I'm going to talk about this one. We're on Symphonic Live, which came out back in 19 something something. I'm going to say 2002. Came out in 2009. The DVD came out in 2002. The single CD came out in 2003. The double CD, which is what I'm talking about right now, apparently came out in 2009. Yeah, so I don't know, but I'm doing it now because it's listed in this order on their website, mainly because the single CD came out at this point. But yeah, that's what is on this. I wasn't super excited going into this one because a lot of metal bands, especially sort of European metal bands, use symphonies and have like symphonic performances. And it's never been one of my favorite things in the metal genre. A friend of mine, shout out to you, The Core, if you're watching, loves symphonic metal and is always trying to turn me on to things. It's not my jam. So I wasn't super excited about this. Plus, looking at the set list, everything on here is a repeat, other than the stuff that is from Magnification. I don't think, nothing else has already been released on the other live stuff I've covered. So nothing new as far as that is concerned. So yeah, that's it. And so I listened to it, and I think the thing that immediately surprised me more than anything is how the symphony was used. There's before Close to the Edge, there's an overture. Before Long Distance Runaround, there's this classical, also an overture, I guess. But other than that, the orchestra is really only used completely to sort of supplement what's already been going on. Like, it's a four-piece. There's no Wakeman, so it's Howe, Squire, White, and Anderson. There is a keyboardist. Wakeman was invited, but had a conflict. The keyboardist is present. He gets a solo on Trooper. He's there doing stuff. Just Tom Brislin is his name. Probably not as all over the map as, Wakeman would have been had Wakeman been here. So it is just the four-piece otherwise. But the symphony is really there. Like, they're not like rewriting these songs to give the symphony. The symphony is adding flavor and colors and background and just these like swells and waves of just like music to support what's going on. And the interesting thing is, sometimes it doesn't work. I think there's a couple songs when it seems to maybe drag the song down and it's completely not needed. But three of the longest songs, the Close to the Edge, the Gates of Delirium, and the Ritual, which together clock in at well over 70 minutes, the symphony is fantastic with those. The symphony kind of transforms those songs and makes them like completely different experiences. Really surprised at how well the symphony worked with those. It adds, I think, a level of maybe cohesion to Gates of Delirium and Ritual, which maybe is purposely lacking. And in Close to the Edge, it's by far the most aggressive. The symphony's adding these like bursts during the verses of like the first vocals. It's very present in that middle section. It's doing wonderful, wonderful things. So other than those three epic songs, which takes up like pretty much a single CD if you were to put them all on one CD, the rest of the stuff on here kind of didn't grab me. The stuff on Magnification, I don't think live was that much better. And I think two of the tracks, I think, actually sounded better in their studio versions. And then there were choices made with some other songs that I didn't really, really thrill me. But that being said, the three epic Yes songs with the symphony are pretty ridiculously fantastic. So there were 13 songs total. I'm not counting overture. I'm just going to go through the songs one by one and rank them according to the way I think they sound, from favorite to least favorite. My least favorite would be overture. It's just a classical piece of music that introduces Close to the Edge. There is a nice segue from the overture into Close to the Edge, so those two blend together when you get the nature sounds and all. So that works. 13, again, is Roundabout. We don't get the full thing. We get when we're about to go into that middle, that middle proggy riff section. It's like we get this little guitar riff, and then Hal's like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, bam, bam, and then we go right into the solo section, and just no, I'm not there for that. Number 12 is Long Distance Runaround. The symphony is there for Long Distance Runaround. In fact, there's a huge symphonic buildup into the song, and it really seems to drag the song down. Like, I think one of the attractions of Long Distance Runaround is it's sort of like nimbleness, and it's just like, seems like it's moving all over the place. Do, 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 right? It's like sly and lithe and just kind of getting all over the place. This one just seems to like bog it down. Like, it's just unnecessary. The strings are unnecessary. I think it hurts the song. Plus, we don't get the fish afterwards, so that I'm not going to take off points for that, but could have got points if the fish had been connected to it. Next two songs, 11 and 10, are both off Magnification. Don't Go, kind of a straight up pop song. Magnification, a little bit more weirder, proggier. I don't think either one of them sound better live. I actually think maybe the production, the cleaner production, sounds better on the studio for both of them. I do think maybe the closing solo and Magnification is maybe a little bit weirder live, but I don't think it's enough to, like, make it that great of a listen. Number 9, And You and I. Again, as with the one I did previous, I think the Keys to Ascension, the first half just kind of sounds sluggish and just, I don't know, lacking a little bit of energy. When we get to the teacher and the preacher part, all of a sudden I'm hearing harmonica. Has that always been here? Why is harmonica all of a sudden like tormenting me when And You and I is played? And then we get the nice swell. It's a good version. I just think, it's the other stuff on here is offering stuff a little more interesting live. Your Move, All Good People, really heavy bass presence in the Your Move. That bass is really, really loud and dominant. Always gets extra points for not having the stop between Your Move and All Good People, that drum roll right into it. Good version. Owner of a Lonely Heart kind of doesn't work. We still have the horrible stabs and the horrible like fake noises in there. The jam at the end seems completely forced and just like nobody's feeling it and like, no, it's just not happening. But then Howe gets this weird little solo at the end and he kind of redeems the whole thing. Him attempting the middle solo is kind of interesting. So it's more of an interesting listen than anything else. But it kind of gets saved at the end. But it's the upbeat sort of happiness, the thing that works so well in like the 80s is not working well here for Owner of a Lonely Heart. Number 6 is Steve Howe guitar solo. We get a little Vivaldi piece into Mood for a Day. I really like the Mood for a Day. Seems to be a little laid back and not taken, kind of patient, and just feels really, really good. This is a really good vibe. And plus the strings on Howe's guitar, I think they sound like they're nylon. It's just, you can feel the when he's finger picking, that just the way they snap and they bounce. The sound of the guitar is fantastic. This is really good. Number 5, another song off Magnification, In the Presence Of. This one actually, I think, works a lot better live than it does on the studio version. It seems to be bigger and more epic, and sort of the change, the swells and the dynamics just seem to be a lot more just there. The song, for the most part, isn't changing that much, but I do think this is one that benefits live. Again, a longer song. It seems like the Yeses, at least in the symphonic era, the longer the song, the more the flavors seem to develop, and they're able to like come across better live. But In the Presence Of works pretty well. I think of the 3 Magnification songs, it's by far the strongest. Starship Trooper, number 4. This is always going to be somewhere near the top of the list just because of the awesome solo. We only get a Howe solo. We're not going back between Howe and Wakeman. Well, there is no Wakeman, like we did in, I think, Keys to Ascension, which had that awesome, they were both jamming, or House of Yes, one of those two. I think it was Keys to Ascension where Wakeman, and they trade off solos, yes. And then the keyboardist gets a really nice, I like his synth sound that he uses for his keyboard solo during The Worm. That's pretty nice. And then we get, for the top 3, the epic songs. I had a hard time going back and forth. I think they're probably all tied for number 1, but Yeah. At number 3, I have Close to the Edge. Only because I don't think Close to the Edge needs anything to already make it a perfect song. So you're just, you're making it, you can't make it better. You're just making it more different, better. Um, Very active. This is the most active I think the symphony is in any song. They're actually adding these like bursts during the first verses. Their presence just kind of seems to add a cohesion to everything and tie everything together in the best way. Like close to all 3 of these songs, I'm just realizing the more you pile on top of all these songs, the better each of them work. They're all like epics. They're all going for like huge, huge statements. Like just keep layering on stuff. And the symphony and the way it's layered on Close to the Edge just works perfectly. Like that middle section just floats so incredibly nicely. The middle section in all of these, the transition, the number 2 is Gates of Delirium. The transition from what I guess are the actual gates into Soon, that just seems to linger a little bit longer, float a little bit nicer thanks to the symphony. The ritual transition at the end of that into that closing segment just seems to float there a little bit longer. Everything just seems to work better. But number 2 is Gates of Delirium. Yeah, it just sounds fantastic. And the way the symphony is present during those crazy changes in that sort of middle jam, it's just, and the building in the beginning, the symphony works so perfect for this song. And then number 1 is Ritual. I just, probably my least favorite of these 3. Like I did rank them elsewhere on this channel. Close to the Edge would be number 1. Gates of Delirium would be 2. Ritual would be 3 if I had to rank these 3. But live with the symphony, I think Ritual is elevated. It's got the bass solo and then the weird little Ritual middle part jam and then a drum solo with some very, very electronic, very like synthesized noises coming into first before we get a more traditional drum solo. And then the symphony comes in as the drum solo kind of builds to this kind of like sort of like early climax before we kind of finish the song. Yeah, it's got a lot going for it. And they use symphony really, really well in Ritual. But anyways, that's what they look like in order. As far as the symphony goes, it's those top 3 and maybe in the presence of. I don't think the symphony is adding much to Starship Trooper. It really is just the guitar solo at the end that's elevating that there. I'm not sure it's ultimately present in all of these very much where it's noticeable, but those top 3 sound fantastic. Where would I put this if I had to rank it? No, I'm putting it in number 3. Yeah, that's where I'm putting it. So it's at number 3. Symphonic Live is at number 3. And it's on this back of those, the Close to the Edge, the Gates of Delirium, and the Ritual. Those are absolutely fantastic songs. And because I'm trying to rank these based on how well the live versions differ from the studio versions, I think it's got to be a little bit better than Keys to Ascension. Though Keys to Ascension sounds fantastic. I just don't know how many of those songs are being drastically improved or altered in live, where here I think you can notice some difference. But yeah, one more list. Did anything make the top 10? Yes, 2 of them. I put Ritual all the way up to number 6. And Gates of Delirium sneaks in at number 10. So those are both. Close to the Edge didn't quite make it to this. This is a list of my favorite live tracks based on how well the live is differ from the studio. That's the basis of this list. But anyways, those are so far, I think, my 10 favorite live tracks in the albums I've done so far. The 6 albums I've done so far. So yeah, but anyways, that's all I got. One last list. If anybody cares, I am keeping track of the number of times any given song is performed. And right now, that is at least the top of the list. Those are all the songs that have been performed more than once or been released more than once on a live album, with Roundabout, Your Move All Good People, and You and I winning the race thus far. So anyways, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of this album. Let me know what you think of lists in general. Yeah, I'm interested in your take on the symphony. Not a big symphony fan, but I thought it worked well. I thought Yes did a good job. So anyways, yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know, yeah, you know how it works. Comment, like, subscribe, share, and go listen to this album from the beginning, because Close to the Edge is the first track, and I think you'll be impressed from the get-go. But that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Peace. Talk to you later.